There we go. Clint Bowyer. Clint, you're on mute, my friend. You're making some great facial expressions, but we cannot hear you. You need to unmute yourself.
That's what I was just reading. It was of telling you to unmute. Do I need to do this? Do I need to do that? Do I need to do this?
Oh.
Do that.
Do that. There you go. Perfect. That's awesome. We are now joined by Clint Bowyer. We're going to go right into questions, and our first question is going to come from Randy Kovitz at the Kansas City Star. Go ahead with your question, Randy.
Hey, Clint, good morning or afternoon. I got an easy one, two-parter, an easy one and a little tougher one. The easy one is, what's it mean to be able to have friends and family at the track this time at Kansas compared to last?
Oh, yeah.
And then I'll give you the second part, too. If things don't work out on Sunday for you, how will you evaluate this season, and what can you take into whatever comes next year?
So yeah, good questions. Kansas Speedway, being able to have your family and friends there, it's everything. Or without it, it's not fun to do life without people that make your life what it is, you know, and forever, it's always been that way. I'm tired of COVID. Simple as that. I think we all are, but you know, we're doing what we have to do. We're all doing what we have to do, whether it's attached to racing, sports, or life in general. You're doing what you got to do to survive. I'm looking forward to going back home. That's such a, you know, special place for me with family and friends there, and you know, fans to watch us do what we do. You know, our sport is not what it is without fans. I mean, obviously television does a phenomenal job of covering our sport, but fans at the track in real life in front of you are what this sport was founded on, and ultimately what's going to continue it on through the ages. This weekend, looking forward to it, man. I think, I don't know if you've seen the forecast. There's a damn hurricane coming, Randy. I said hurricane. So it's probably more than likely going to be a washout. Hopefully it'll wash, literally enough wash that it floods somehow. I'm going to sneak in there and put a plug in the tunnel so it'll just flood, and that way we can't race it till Monday when the sun's out. But I think if it does rain, boy, all hell's going to break loose. There's a lot of unknowns. I can say that. Unknowns for all the above. Look out if it rains. More importantly, we know it's going to rain if we race.
Yeah. Well,
claim.
So if you finish second or worse, what are you going to take from this season? What did this season? How do you evaluate this crazy year and look into next year? Not if
I'm
you're
saying finish second, there's a chance we may get in.
Right.
If you finish second, more than likely you're going to add stage points to it, and somebody's going to have trouble. Right. You got to look into this thing as an opportunity, and that's what I'm looking at. I'll take second. I want to win. It would be way easier to win, but honestly, you're only going one weekend anyway. You want to win one of these first ones of these three as you go through the playoffs. That's what makes life easy. You know, like Kurt Busch did, winning that first race, off into the sunset. But I'll take it again. I'll take an oval victory.
Okay. If you don't, though, how do you evaluate this crazy year?
Well, I'm a racer, Randy. You're going into the race weekend. I ain't talking about what ifs. If it doesn't happen, it's got to happen. It's got to happen now. It's got to happen this weekend. COVID sucks. 2020 hasn't been much fun for anybody. The way you look at it, honestly, Randy, without being too much of a smart aleck. You know, this season's been tough. It's been tough in so many different ways on the teams, on everybody. It's hard to honestly fully. Here's the thing, and I just believe this. As it's gotten better, look, and I don't believe just because of my experience with it, but proof's in the pudding. You know, when you go out there and compete on a weekend, you didn't have, you show up as a driver and you bring your stuff to the car, you get in it you show up a couple hours before the race, you get in it and you race as hard as you can and go home. You try to make the best decisions as you possibly can to make the best out of the situation. If you have a good day, you kind of leave thinking, man, I don't know, I didn't have much to do with the outcome. You know what I mean? Other than just that moment. And so much of any success in life, it has to do with the preparation beforehand. So it's difficult when you show up to the racetrack and you're on a Zoom. Literally, our preparation for the races is Zoom meetings. I got in a simulator to prepare. I went down to the Ford and spent some time in the simulator. It did the most I could, but it's you're going to these tracks with a lot of guesswork on the table still. Sometimes you hit it, sometimes you don't. So when you hit it, kind of leave happy, obviously excited, but you're like, yeah, I don't know, maybe. If you don't hit it and you struggle that weekend, you kind of leave going, I don't know. We'd have been way better off if we had some time, to dissect some of these things, to A/B some of these situations in a practice session or something else. But that's not the case anymore. So I don't want to say it's an asterisk beside the year. It's not that far, but I think the proof's in the pudding when you look at our results. Going back to some of these tracks for the second time, using that first race as somewhat of a practice session, because that's all we have. Look at Kyle Busch. Look at his results since he's come back to these races for the second time. Been a lot better off, and everybody's going to have that same scenario. So, it's been a challenging year to say the least.
Thank you.
Yep.
Our next question will come from Bob Pockers. Go ahead with your question, Bob.
Yeah, Clint, obviously we haven't heard anything yet on the 14 for next year. Have you started talking to anybody else outside of Stuart Haas?
I talked to my wife the other night. Where are you? I can't even find you. I'm gonna be a smart ass to you. I got to see you. I don't even know where you're at. I can't find you. There you are. Where? Damn, she got you in the bathroom down in the hallway or something? You look like living in that New York City. You look a little tight quarters there, Big Daddy. Up there, yeah. City boy.
Yeah, it's as tight as your silly season predicament, I think, right?
It's time to begin those talks, and Casey's, been working on that stuff. But honestly, look at the time. Timing is a crunch right now for me. It's all about trying to get the most out of every single weekend to get through the playoffs, So honestly, you asked me if I've been talking. No, I ain't been talking to, you're trying to do the things you can do. And for me and the things that I'm good at is obviously doing the best I can do in that race car, but working, with partners and trying to keep them on board. Times are not only tough for us on the, with racing and everything else, they're tough for companies, a lot of companies out there. So trying to keep them involved, figuring out where that is, how that stacks up, how you can help them, help you. And those are the conversations that I'm good at and the conversations that I try to have on a daily basis with your partners and everything else, regardless of your future or where you go or where you stay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Our next question will come from Jason Brown. Go ahead with your question, Jason.
Thanks, Matt. Clint, always a pleasure to talk with you. You touched on the weather this weekend. The Roval's a unique setup to begin with anyway. If for some reason it's not a monsoon and maybe just a light drizzle, how does that change the complexity of the race or how you attack this course if it is a little damp, to say, I guess, the best?
Dude, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know that anybody knows. I was asking somebody just a couple of days ago, I'm like, what do you do when it was becoming pretty apparent that we're going to have some rain, some moisture on our hands? Like, all right, do you do anything different with the setup? These are honest questions. Our sport, as far as I'm concerned, I ran a race up in Montreal, in Canada somewhere. We ran up there in the rain, and I remember that Xfinity race, but it became too much. It was a flood. I mean, I remember literally hydroplaning across the infield and being like, hey man, we're not racing anymore. We're surviving. What is this? You know? So I do remember that a little bit. I remember the biggest challenge of all of it was literally seeing. It wasn't attacking the track or trying to, you know, figure out grip levels or setups or whatever else. It was flat out just visually being able to see where you're going. I think it was Carl Edwards. I'm not 100% sure, but I'll never forget being under caution and you couldn't see the car in front of you anymore. And I think it was Carl, but hold me to that. Smoked the car in front of him, and I think it ended their day, all under caution because you couldn't even see him. So, you know, that is going to be on everybody's radar. All of our guys are trying to figure out, you know, what product works. Does Rain-X work? How good do windshield wipers work? I mean, those are just things that, yes, you know, our manufacturers can probably help with that stuff, but there's different tools. We don't have glass windshields, right? We have, you know, Lexan windshields. There's just so many different things that play into that, you know, defrosters and things like that, trying to not fog up. Just a lot of new things that are on the conversation table this week in preparation for this race, to say the least.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Our next question will come from Claire B. Lang. Go ahead with your question, Claire.
Thanks. What is it about you, Clint, that you're really good when your back is up against the wall? Your attitude is always exceptional when the chances are limited, but there, and you've always been like that. Why is that?
Yeah, honestly, I think it keeps me sharp, keeps you focused on it. Your eye on the ball, doesn't let you wander and lose focus and, you know, get your mind on something else. There is no time for that. You know, I hate to say it. I like being scared. It's almost healthy for me. You know what I mean? And I didn't realize it till I've been doing this a long time. And, you know, usually when you're on that bubble or something like that, we've been able for the most part to prevail because your back's up against the wall and you're out of options and there's no excuses or anything else. You just got to go out, get the job done. That's always kind of been a healthy environment for me.
You're actually pretty good at the Roval. Your average finish, 3.5, third best. You're actually pretty damn good there.
Pretty hard to believe that a 3.5 is third best. My God. I do remember this damn 9-car winning last year off of his own caution. I'll never forget that. Did he have us covered? There's no question. He had to race one, but then he gave it up. And then his very caution ended up winning the race again. So anything can happen at the Roval. There's no question about it.
I wish you good luck. Thanks for hanging out, okay?
Thanks, hon.
Our next question will come from Woody King. Go ahead with your question, Woody.
Hey, Clint, I want to go back to the silly season thing for just a second, but not so much about you personally, but just your perception of the way that whole merry-go-round has changed. What's the environment of silly season like now versus when you first came into Cup?
Just totally different, you know, and unfortunately, I think that I just said it. It's unfortunate, you know, unfortunate for a lot of people involved. It's just, that's the way it is. You know, I think, unfortunately, I think you're going to see, you know, a lot of unfortunately, it's going to happen every year. You know, that's where I think we're evolving to, is the long-term deals you're just not able to get done anymore. And essentially, because there's not, you know, I'll never forget, when I went to RCR, I went in and my first Cup sponsor, there was a stack. There was literally a stack of those sponsors, you know, begging to get into the sport, that you really chose which one worked best for your organization or your lifestyle, which one, you know, which one possibly could last longer, have longer legs, you know, that's what made up your mind, you know. It was a long-term 3-year deal. You didn't want it any longer than that, you know, because of, you know, selfish reasons, you know. Now it's completely opposite. Now no partner needs to be a long-term deal. You know, because that's just the environment they're in, you know, it's the demand. You know, we owe it all to ourselves to work hard, and you guys are such a big part of that. You do such a great job of covering our sport and, you know, making us superstars. I mean, it doesn't go down. It doesn't happen without you guys and your hard work of selling our story of NASCAR and you know, the characters within. Characters, you know, we all the drivers got to do their part. You know, when I came into the sport, there was a lot of characters. There was a lot of superstars, you know, and they did a good job of you know, when we came in, handing us the reins to a gold mine, and you know, we all of us drivers have to do a good job of working hard to make sure that we hand over those reins to these kids, you know, coming through, that they have a great opportunity for them and their families, just like we did.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Well, Clint, thanks for taking the time to join us, and good luck this weekend at the Roval. Stay dry.
What, Doug Rice, my man? I see you there sitting there. You mean to tell me you're gonna sit there and you didn't have anything else to do than to get on and listen to old Clint? Or is there somebody more important coming in after this? How's this deal work? It's got to be something.
I never miss a chance to get some Clint Bowyer in my life, man. Never.
Oh crap! Who's coming in after? I've got you
No,
figured
man.
out.
We got Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch is coming in next.
Oh God! If he tells you guys he sucks, he's really not right. He doesn't suck, but for some reason right now he's convinced he sucks. It's kind of funny. Keep him beat down, all right? Keep him beat down for him.
Will do.
Yeah.
Take
Thanks,
care.
Clint.